Bryce Petty, Mr. Bearcat, Mayor of Cincinnati, is back. There's only one direction to go, and that's South Bend. Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the Cincinnati Bearcats. Bryce, I'm giving no more. I'm going straight to you.
Love it.
Take it, sir.
I think we're all just going to clear this. You got it. It's all you.
As it should. You guys, please just step away. Let me part the ways. Let me part the ways here.
I'm going to get my popcorn ready.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't be near as stale as Lane Kiffin's tonight. But look, this is what we talked about, before the season started. That first show that we had was about, can Cincinnati do what they need to do? We had Indiana ranked, and I'm going to go ahead and start throwing the wheeze out because this is a thing now. This is a thing that we need to jump on board. George, I know you got a question that you're about to come with me, so that's fine. I'll let you ask that.
No,
but the idea was that there's two games that we have to win to at least to not only get in the conversation, but it be viable, right? That it be a valid statement. Plus, like most, kind of group of five, you have to have a little something happen. Oregon went down today. That pretty much takes out the West, right? Florida was that one-loss team that we were kind of talking about. Could they do it? They've lost twice, so they're out. So now you pretty much have this Alabama-Georgia lock and, a Penn State team that if they run the table, is going to knock off Ohio State because they're going to be a 2-loss Ohio State team, to where Cincinnati's road is paved with that gold that they need, right? So, look, Luke Fickell is going to have a unbelievable statue in Cincinnati. I'm not sure if he's a Cincinnati born and bred kind of guy. I know they went to Ohio State, had a few highlights there, but I think from the guys that tell me, I'm in the locker room quite a bit over there, from the press and from the rumors that I hear, that he loves it over there. So we don't have to worry about any of these coaching jobs at SC or anywhere else. I think my man's staying. Anyways, we got Desmond Ritter. We got my man Jay Ford. They're rocking right now, and they're doing what they need to do.
So, Bryce, let me jump here and let me challenge that. Trevor and Hack, and whoever wants to take this. So they got past their biggest hurdle. Last week was their biggest hurdle against Indiana, or the week before. They did it. They beat a game Big Ten team. Then they go on the road into a top 10 team, a historic team, and they beat them. It's downhill from there. Honestly, truly, it's downhill from there. You can hop on your tricycle, close your eyes. There are no speed bumps. It's downhill. Here's the question, though. Does it now come down to style points? Can you honestly, really, as Cincinnati, afford a game where you got pushed, you got challenged in the fourth quarter, or you're still on the bar room floor, scrapping around, knocking over bar seats, trying to get your footing, and still maintain this status? Or does it have to all be knockouts? Because it's going to really come down to style points.
What's the committee going to do, right? I mean, we've been talking about this for years and years now, and that's the reason that we're here talking about expanding the playoff, because this situation's come up before, and it's always gone the way of the Power Five, right? You put two teams in from the same conference now multiple times. If you've got a Cincinnati team there at the end of the year up against a one-loss, conference champion in the Power Five, is this the year? Is this the year that the committee finally crumbles and puts them in? Style points will absolutely do them a lot of good in that conversation. But I think those guys sit around a big old rich mahogany table there, I believe in Dallas, and talk about this. And at the end of the day, dare I say it, they don't have the balls to go out there and actually do it, right? It's an undefeated team. They just beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. Let's go look at them historically. They deserve to be there. If they run the table, I think they should be in the playoff. Will it happen? I really don't. I really don't think they have. I don't think they have it in them.
No, you can't go back. You can't go back. You already said it's in. Go ahead, Hack.
Sorry, Trevor. And Bryce, all respect to you in the city of Cincinnati. Hack, yes, there are two big Penn State fans on here. One's a favorite son. one's just championing them as the dark horse. Here's a hypothetical. Not that I'm wishing this on anybody.
Right.
Ohio State already has one loss. Penn State, if they had one loss, really the Big Ten champion, a one-loss Big Ten champ versus an undefeated Cincinnati. Cincinnati's two big premier wins this year was a win over a Big Ten Indiana on the road and a win over a top 10 team in Notre Dame. Whoever the Big Ten champ is will have faced more competition than that. A one-loss Big Ten team and a pristine Cincinnati Bearcat squad. What will the committee say at the end if there's room for one of them?
I'm just going to say that the Big Ten, top to bottom, and especially the East, is as strong as it's ever been, and is probably the most similar thing outside of the SEC that anybody's seen, top to bottom. You got Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Maryland, who's been playing well, Rutgers. You know, they got what was coming to them. They ate a sandwich with Ohio State today, but they took Michigan last week to the last bell. So it's a very competitive conference. And if you're looking at what they've done historically, when you have a competitive conference like that, the SEC, they've taken two teams from there. So if you're going to say that they're going to take one team from the Big Ten, right, a one-loss Big Ten, lock that in, then I don't really even think that that's going to be a conversation for Cincinnati. Now it's going to be Cincinnati for that fourth spot, and who's that going to be? Is it an undefeated Oklahoma? Is it a one-loss team in the Pac-12?
Well, I'm saying if Cincinnati has to squeeze through, if they got to squeeze through the same doorway as the Big Ten, a one-loss Big Ten team, say Oklahoma maintains, nothing is happening west of the Rockies. Then what happens?
I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think you can do it. I think it'd be a disservice to what that team, whomever that is out of the Big Ten, it's a disservice to what they've done, to your point, because I think the strength of schedule, the amount of teams that they've played, it would be bad. And if they do, Bryce, they have to go out and just start blowing some teams out. And I mean, some video game numbers. They need to take the Boise State approach of years past, when Boise State was always that team where everyone was like, can Boise State do it? Can Boise State do it? They were going out and handling everybody. I mean, it wasn't even, you know, Boise State won again. You were watching the game just to see some highlights at the end of the, you know, if you were up late enough. So that's what I think they have to do to get in the conversation. But if it comes down to them and a Big Ten team, I just don't think that you can't not take a Big Ten team, unless it's just a massacre at the end of the year at the Big Ten and everybody beats everybody and there's a bunch of stuff in flux up there. But I don't really see that happening. Someone's going to keep a hot hand.
Real quick, Trevor, is it fair for Cincinnati to take the approach the rest of the season to run it up? You're up on whomever. Army, Navy, Air Force, whoever. You're up 40-0. Are they now pressured and challenged, like really mandated to keep going? Do the starters have to stay in the fourth quarter to let the rest of the country know we are it?
I think absolutely. You just said it. They have their signature win under their belt. They can sit on that throughout the rest of the year, but just winning out is not going to get it done based off of Hack's analysis right there. They need to do everything in their power to be in the conversation at the end. If that's running the score up, if that's doing something crazy in the media, one of their players plants a flag in the middle of the field, whatever it is, right? I mean, they've got to find a way to be in the conversation from a fan standpoint, from a media standpoint. And then when you look at that win-loss record, it's got to be a lot to a little each and every week.
Bryce Petty, real quick, Bryce, can you make a case for the Bearcats versus a one-loss Big Ten heavyweight champ? You got 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to have to need that to make that case. And honestly, real quick, just to Trevor's point, you know, respectfully, I disagree with my esteemed colleague over there on our Big 12 show. I think beating a team 45-3 is the same as beating them 70-3. It's still a blowout. So I don't think you have to go run up anything. I think if you take care of what you need to take care of, especially going back to the beginning of the year when you got OU barely getting past Tulane, when you got a couple of these teams, that are barely doing what they were supposed to handily be doing. I mean, we were supposed to see Caleb Williams 4 times by now, and we haven't seen that joker once, right? So, and that's a backup to OU for people that don't know. But the idea is that you take care of business the way that you do. You do, to y'all's point, I do think that you have to beat people handily, but I don't think that you have to run the table on them. Now, to your point, George, and I know this isn't 30 seconds, so suck it. But the idea is that if you have a 1-loss Big Ten team, right? Not 2, but you have 1. I think that 1-loss Big Ten team is already in. I think it's going to be Georgia. I think it's going to be Alabama, and then I think it's going to be for whatever reason, Penn State gets knocked off the anthill for half a second, they're going to be in there.
Oh, the anthill, and that's something. That's
okay.
Right,
the mountaintop, whatever you want to call it, that's fine. It's a hill. There's a point to it, and then you roll off. But the idea is that Penn State's going to be in that conversation, and so I think that what now you're looking at is what I don't know. I guess in Iowa, possibly in there. And now you've got 2 from the same conference, right? Like they're not going to, you can't do that. That's just annoying. And I think the only 2 teams, right. you got Saban and Kirby Smart paying those dudes, at the back of the table going, hey, you can put us in there, but like Big Ten, they're not going to put 2 Big Ten teams in there. It's just that I don't see that happening. So ACC's out, Pac-12's out. I just don't see anybody from Big 12's out. And that's what we, WE, needed, right? That's what Coach Fickle told us on the bus this morning when we were going to South Bend.
So what you're saying is you're not even worried about the Big Ten. You're saying that whoever wins the Big Ten's a lock, and then you're saying you're.
I think so because to your point, I'm not arguing that is a ridiculously tough conference this year. But
so then really, it's between Cincinnati and Oklahoma. Oklahoma beats Texas. They get through Baylor. They got to dance with some other residents of the Big 12. Yeah, Oklahoma shows up undefeated. Here comes Cincinnati. Cincinnati's win on the road at a top 10 Notre Dame is bigger than anything Oklahoma did. And they barely got past in like 4 or 5 exchanges. You're saying that's where. See,
that's what's going to be interesting. I might have 2 bags of popcorn pop for that conversation because now you've got, again, in the Big 12, who you're running against, you're really going to have Texas, Baylor, Oklahoma State. Iowa State's kind of proven to be, in the middle of the pack. But outside of that, the Kansas, TCU, Tech, West Virginia lost to Tech today. So you really don't have, I'm not saying that they're on the same level. I think they are better than, again, the Navies, the UCFs, we're about to find out what that looks like too here in a couple of years. But I do think stacking those teams up together, they're mediocre enough, and Oklahoma has done just little enough, if that makes sense, to sit there and go, why put them in there again?
You can't argue an undefeated Power 5 champion against an undefeated Group of 5 champion at this point, the way the committee works.
And that's 100% can, and I just did.
If OU has a loss, then that's where the conversation starts, in my point. But I feel like we're sitting here, and maybe it is an unwritten rule. Is it an unwritten rule that the SEC is going to have 2 every single year? I mean,
it is.
Not every year, but this year certainly.
I have witnessed through my Facebook contacts and a few Twitter contacts that Kirby Smart and Nick Saban have been seen with a Fenty bag of cash in Dallas.
But that goes back to the point, though, Trev, of like, if you're sitting there watching college football, as we all do, and we understand it, like, is there even an argument that those 2 teams are not the two of the best teams in the country?
Which is why I don't want to sit around that mahogany table, man. That's a tough conversation to have. But just when you're thinking about it practically, you've got a 1-loss non-conference champion going up against an undefeated Cincinnati, right? It doesn't make sense, but like you said, 2 are the best teams in college football. That's what it comes down to. It's tough, right?
Yeah, but you know what that mahogany table is doing? They've got a little pocket calculator and a notebook, and they're going, okay, so we got 12 teams. All right, cool. So they're going to bring in how much money? Okay, cool. Cincinnati's going to, okay, cool. So that's all that is. So this makes an even better case for the next year to
No,
be
The field of 12.
to be
The field
12
of 12.
Everybody, Bryce, and as your daughter gets a little older and she starts to jump into all these Disney movies, everybody knows, every girl dad knows, Cinderella is one of the all-time biggest movies that you could. It's the biggest draw. Cincinnati is our Cinderella. We don't have another group of five we're talking about. What's better for the group of five, really college football, than to have a Cincinnati or a group of five team squeeze in
Yeah.
the Final Four, but they're going to have to earn their way through.